hey man, I was just listening to my bud DJ Xavier, or as his friends call him, DJ X.
Wow, that sounds very trendy and hip, which I'm sure are not the words you would use to describe young people these days, but whatever.
No. But no. So I opened Spotify and I was like, oh, cool. Because I'm always looking for mixes, right? Like, I don't care to make playlists. That's too much effort. So I just opened Spotify today and there's this button. I think we've talked about day lists on the podcast before. And if we haven't, we've talked about them amongst, our group of friends. But today I open it up and there's a button that says, let the DJ pick or play the DJ. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. Like, it's just a pre-built playlist or whatever. No, it's not a pre-built playlist. It's an AI DJ that talks to you. And like the first thing that I heard after I clicked this button was, hey Jason, like out of Forza Horizon 5, like where it's like, oh yeah, hey, whatever. Like, they talk to you. I'm like, and then he was like, and then his intro was the one I just did. This is DJ Xavier, or as my friends call me, DJ X. And I was just like, all right, what is going on right now? What did I play?
Wow, they really got you.
But then, like, in between songs and stuff, he like comes on the air, big air quotes, right? And like introduces the next song, like, oh, you were a big fan of this style of music in 2022. And then he plays a couple songs from like, what, 2022? So it's very cool, but at the same time, super creepy.
So it's like Spotify Wrapped, but like curated into an interactive, like, story DJ thing.
I mean, I wouldn't call it interactive, but yeah, he's talking to you. He's like actually introing, or mine's a guy, I don't know if he's introing the songs to you. Like, based on, your Spotify Wrapped data or whatever. And like, oh, you were a really big fan of this artist. And I was like, okay, thanks. But he like, the other thing that's creepy is he like the AI does not say this artist. He'll be like, you were a really big fan of Jason Derulo. And I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. God, I'm trying to work here.
I don't need this.
Don't need you talking to me. But I don't know. It was really cool and really creepy at the same time, because I just went into it expecting a pre-built playlist and got out of it a personalized DJ on my radio.
Yeah, that's a little bit weird. The next logical creepy step is like having it talk two-way to you, because it's AI, right? It can scale. So it could ask you a question and be like, hey, do you like what I'm doing? And then like it would just like awkwardly wait for you to answer. And then you'd be like, no. Okay, sounds great. I'll choose some different songs.
No, it's not the songs. It's that you're talking to me. Oh, right. Nothing I can do about that.
Sorry, buddy. I'm here. We got to do it this way.
Yeah, this is your life now.
That is really strange.
No, I mean, like, Spotify really clearly went for a, like, turn on the radio, hear a DJ on the radio. Like, and it's just like little banter in between and stuff. And they very clearly went for that. But it's kind of creepy to me that it's personalized strictly to me. Because it's not like, oh, hey, these were top of the charts in 2022. It's like, hey, Jason, you really liked this song in 2022. Yeah. And I was like, that's a little on the nose for me. But I'm continuing to try it.
I really don't love that. I mean, I don't use Spotify, so I don't really have the opportunity to do this. But that's kind of weird. Although I guess maybe now Siri is going to do stuff like this in the new Apple Intelligence world. I actually really like the way that Apple approached the whole radio thing, where they created radio stations. Like in their like Apple Music app, there are 3 radio stations, and one of them is Apple Music One, and it's like top hits of today of whatever. But then they also have one that's like, I forget what it's called, Hits maybe, and that's the stuff that kind of is the 2000s, 2010s, 90s, 80s, that kind of eras. And they basically program them out into 1 or 2 hour chunks. And they have actual real live person DJs who record a set basically. And you can like get to know them because they're real people. And like they actually have stories and be like, oh yeah, this was a real rough time in my high school days, blah, blah, blah. And then they play you some song from the 80s or whatever. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. You're like a DJ on the radio. And it's a thing where it shows you the songs as they go by. Like it's live. You can't skip. It's not, it's actually playing. Like, so you're tuning into this thing, but it knows what song is playing, and it can do like the synchronized lyrics. And also, if you hear something you like, you can add it to a playlist because it has that metadata. So I actually really like that approach. And for a while, I was actually listening to the 10 to 11 a.m. show like pretty regularly.
Yeah, I'm one of those, particularly for music, where like I just don't have the mental bandwidth to like select what I'm listening to. So I do like to turn on something that just kind of selects what they play for me.
But there's also like procedurally generated playlists. Like, I mean, Spotify has those too, I think.
Yeah, I guess I'm just still deciding whether the DJ is too creepy or if I actually like the prompting or indication of why it chose that song. Like that is, it's interesting to me. I don't know. I have to get used to the AI DJ talking to me in between every couple songs or whatever. We'll know we have made it, or that the end has come when the AI DJ starts telling me stories about the dark times in high school.
Welcome back to Pride and Accomplishment. My name is Chris.
And I'm Jason. This is episode 129. We've got a doozy of an episode.
Yeah, it's been a big couple of weeks. We watched all of the like Summer Games Fest related media blitz coverage. That being Summer Games Fest, the Xbox Showcase, and the Ubisoft Forward thing. We didn't quite make it through all of the stuff. I think Nintendo's got something planned soon, but we're not going to talk about that today.
Yeah, it's been... I mean, we teed it up last episode, right? Our closing was, hey, it's not E3 season. It's E3, not E3 season. I mean, we cut it off somewhere. We didn't watch the PC gaming show, which thank God. I didn't watch any more of the summer game. I know there's all that extra stuff for Summer Games Fest. There's like Day of the Devs, and there's like two other like smaller showcases afterwards. I didn't watch those. Didn't read anything about those. But also didn't hear anything like huge coming out of those. So I'm sure there's a lot of indie titles and things that deserve attention, but at least for me, I didn't write any of it down. I do want to say there is like, if you want a full recap, go read a full recap. What Chris and I are going to talk about today is the stuff that particularly interests us because we don't have time for everything. We're already going to run long, I'm sure, because like it's so hard for Chris and I to like narrow it down, but we're just going to talk about something that we have something to say about. So if you want a full recap, go, I don't know if we'll put them in the show notes or just search it. I mean, I just searched it before this show. So, there's a lot of good recaps out there, or just, go watch the whole thing because they were fun.
Yeah, they were actually all really good this year. I would actually say this was probably one of the stronger, like you can sit through and watch all of the trailers for the most part, and none of them are like overly drawn out or like boring or, off base. Like even for genres of stuff that I didn't really care about, I was like, oh, okay, I see where they're going with here. And like none of them felt like they overstayed their welcome, I didn't think. But then again, we didn't watch the PC game show, so I guess maybe we self-selected.
Yeah, well, that one's going to be too long, period. I think Summer Games Fest was good, but I don't think it was great. And I do think it was potentially a little too long, but that's okay. Should we start there? I mean, that was first, right? That was June 7th.
Yep.
Summer Games Fest kind of kicked off the weekend on Friday afternoon. And, it had a lot of stuff that I would say we didn't write down, but I think it was all good. Like there was a lot of like maybe not game specific news. So something we didn't write down was what was it? Outer Sloths starting that studio for indie developers and a lot of their stuff. We didn't write that down because it's not a specific game, but there was a lot of really cool news around, gaming adjacent stuff. There was some horror gaming adjacent stuff and a new studio there, or focus on gaming. So if you're interested in that extra stuff, I encourage you to go watch the show. But Chris and I wrote down just a few games.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the first one that I don't know, we don't have these really in show order, but like the first one we have on our list, and we'll talk about it maybe a little later with the Ubisoft stuff, is they showed a little teaser for Star Wars Outlaws, which it's clear that they're like on final media, descent into the landing zone, because they're really starting to like show a lot of gameplay and talk a lot about like choices and how it plays and game length and all that kind of stuff. And I am very hyped for Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah. Just keep it in the back of your mind for now that Star Wars Outlaws was in the Summer Games Fest. They showed a teaser a little bit, but it's not going to be the last time you hear about that game during this show. The most surprising thing out of Summer Games Fest for me was a brand new game announcement that I guess people kind of knew was coming, but I certainly didn't. But during Summer Games Fest, Civilization 7 was announced.
Oh yeah, this was interesting. I was watching the trailer, and of course, it's one of those things where they go through like all of human history or whatever, and then you're like, wait a minute, is this a Civ game? I thought they were done with those. And then they like pan and like zoom out, and then it's all of a sudden it's making the 7 in the VI eye of Civilization or whatever. And then it's like Civilization 7, and like, oh my gosh, they're making another Civ game. That's exciting, because I thought that like, it's Sid Meier's Civilization, and if Sid Meier's like stops being involved, then they would stop making them. But Sid Meier's is still alive, still involved, still there. So good news, we're getting a Civ 7. Are you excited about Civ 7 to play it, or are you just happy that they're making one?
I've played every Civ since Civ 4.
Me too.
I wouldn't say that I'm sort of like deeply involved with any of them, but like I enjoyed Civ 6. It was good. I've played a couple games of Civ 6. I will probably wait for Civ 7 to go on some kind of super sale, because they always tend to. Sid Meier's games typically do that after a year or two, and I'm in no rush to get it, but I'm always interested in how they shake it up.
Yeah, I don't remember. They didn't say what the big. They usually have some big engine overhaul. It's we made weather, or we made individual unit stuff, or we did something rendering or whatever. They didn't. I don't think they said what like the big gimmick is for this particular release, but I'm okay with that for now.
No, and I don't even know if we saw any gameplay or anything. I mean, it really was just a teaser announcement that the game exists.
Right. Yeah. They said it was coming out, I think, in 25, or maybe either that or they didn't put a date on it, but it definitely is not this year.
Yeah.
The next one I threw on here because it looks like a really good party game. I don't know if you remember this game, but CUFFBUST is this like, it sounds like a really silly name, but it's like a cross between like Among Us and like, I don't know.
Like an escape room, kind of?
Sort of, kind of, but like...
But also, God, what's the other one I'm thinking of? I know what you're thinking of, but I can't name it.
Oh, Monaco.
Yes. Yeah, like those kinds of games where you have to do a series of things to accomplish the goal, and you can do them together. CUFFBUST, it's third person, right? Or third or first person, but essentially you're breaking out of prison, and your allies, your teammates, are all of the other prisoners.
Yes, except that you failed to mention that all of the prisoners are like weirdly cute koalas in various rainbow colors. Like, but they're all in jumpsuits and prison grays, like in orange jumpsuits and stuff.
And the style of the game is extremely cartoony, like Among Us style, right? Like it's 3D, it's third person, but it's like super crazy. Like you're throwing dynamite to open up doors, you're beating down guards with spoons. I mean, it's just hilarious. Like, I don't even know, like mess of a game, but like I'm sure in a very fun way.
Yeah, and the whole goal is to escape. And they showed this trailer, and in the trailer they had several people get to this little helicopter to like escape or whatever. Some people go on a bus and escape. Some people go on a helicopter and escape. Some people are left behind, and so they take like, I don't know, some kind of artillery that's on the roof of the jail for some reason and shoot down the helicopter. Like, this thing is just mayhem, and it's 20-person lobbies, and I really don't understand what the win-lose condition is exactly for everyone. But it just looks ridiculous, and it seems like a really fun like party game, or like, hey, we're just gonna hang out on a Saturday night kind of thing. It looks cool.
The last one for me from Summer Games Fest is a game that I've had my eye on, but I haven't really talked about because I haven't been really too sure about it. I've been really nervous about getting hyped for it because every game that I've kind of gotten hyped for that is of this type or style has not really done exactly well. But there was a technical test for, or beta, or whatever you want to call it, for the first Descendant a few months or weeks ago. I don't remember which. And at the Summer Games Fest, they announced a release date, like a full 1.0 release date for this game of July 2nd.
That's like 2 weeks.
So now I have a decision to make on what I'm going to do with this game. Do I play it? Do I not play it? Do I wait and see if it takes off? Like the thing that comes to mind for me is Wayfinder, which just didn't do well at the beginning. It's actually reinvented itself as a little something different, and it's doing much better now. But and then Lost Ark kind of gives me the same taste in my mouth, and Anthem gives me the same taste. Like this game, I have heard. How many times have you heard this, Chris? How many times have you heard the phrase, "This is the game that Anthem should have been"?
Yeah, we are still looking for the true successor to Anthem that works and is good. I don't think anyone has succeeded yet. So this is another try at that same idea.
It's just a cross between a lot of things that I very much like, and I'm trying to keep. Like the gameplay trailers and the cinematic trailers have me super interested, and I'm trying very hard not to get so excited about it because I'm just so nervous about setting my expectations too high. So I'm very interested in this game. It got a release date of July 2nd. I don't even know if it's free to play. It might be free to play. I'm not even sure. I'm just trying to not get super engrossed in it until it's out and until there's some actual real foundational information on it. And but I'm not doing a very good job, and I will be watching it really closely and probably playing it on July 2nd.
Let me read you 2 sentences from their Steam page, from the top of their About This Game on Steam.
Okay.
The first Descendant is a free third-person cooperative action RPG shooter featuring high-quality graphics. That's sentence 1. So check all the boxes for Jason right there.
I was going to say, literally the game okay.
Next sentence. Experience the fun of strategic boss fights through 4-player co-op and various unique characters, exciting gunplay, and looting. There you go.
Yeah, that is a perfect game.
Yeah, as long as they can execute.
You can only go downhill from there.
That's true. Yes. It's like they were just what is the perfect game? And now let's just write it down and see if we can do it.
So I don't know if they're going to be able to deliver. I've heard a lot of good things. I've heard a lot of not so great things. I do know about this game. It tried to release a year ago, maybe 2. And it just got a terrible kind of feedback and review, and they took it back to the drawing board, and now it's kind of coming out again. So with a release date and kind of the whole round of beta testing and all that. And I have heard better things this round. So hopefully, they've gone through enough iterative kind of change that it's going to be really good. But I don't know. I've been disappointed so much. I'm not holding my breath, but I am going to be playing it on July 2nd.
Well, it's free to play, so I'll probably give it a try.
Yeah, barrier to entry is lower than even Game Pass.
Well, that's everything for the Summer Games Fest that we had pulled out. I think there were a few others, but they didn't kind of rise to the top for this conversation. Do you want to move on to the Xbox Showcase, which was on June 9th?
June 9th. This, I don't know. I didn't have really high expectations for this show, but at the end of this show, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should have set my expectations higher, because Xbox knows how to put on a show. They know how to do a hype reel. I think I say this every time Xbox Showcase happens. They know how to hype up their games. They're so good at it. And this show is no exception.
Yeah, they had tons of good games. They had many of them, but not all of them were Game Pass day one. which was also pretty cool. They had plenty of world premieres, as I recall, and that was also fun.
Yeah, they didn't do the tag on the world premiere. They showed some, but like they didn't do the every single time it was a world premiere, show the tag of the world premiere. But they did do the tag at the end of every game that was available day one on Game Pass. So I like that. I think when what was it, like 2 years ago, they stopped doing the world premiere like text tag at the beginning of every trailer. But I don't know. I like how clear it makes it. This game is coming day one to Game Pass. No questions about it. Like this game. And it was a lot like the Canary, right? It was, that one isn't coming to Game Pass. Like, like so many of them are coming to Game Pass day one that you really started to notice which ones weren't. And that's exciting for Game Pass. I think you and I had started to talk about the value of Game Pass, particularly as our year-long or multi-year-long subscription starts to expire. I think Xbox and Microsoft are realizing that, the value of Game Pass has to continue to deliver if people like me and you are going to continue to pay $10 a month for it, which is the price if we don't do that multi-year-long upgrade.
Right. Exactly. I will say, I think they did prove a lot of good value to the service. Like I was excited about a bunch of stuff. Yeah. However, I haven't started a game from Game Pass in the last 6 months. So no. I have a pretty weird relationship with Game Pass at the moment. I'm excited for the stuff they have, but I haven't used it in a while.
There was a lot of focus this year, and maybe I don't remember last year enough to make a firm statement, but I feel like this year was much more focused on single player games.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that previous year and maybe the previous 2 or 3 years were more about multiplayer, character based shooters and a lot of that kind of round based, free to play live servicey stuff. But this one, you definitely got to feel that almost the whole gaming landscape is shifting away from the live service stuff and back towards more of the bigger narrative single player story driven kind of games. The first one that we have here on the list that I am so excited for was Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. They showed another 8-minute gameplay thing and cutscene and all of that, which I was very happy to see, but also I'm a little bit worried that they're not going to have any game left when the game comes out because they've now shown
it's all just going to be cutscenes,
2 10-minute cutscenes. I'm is this a movie? What did we do here? I mean, I don't want more gameplay. I don't care about gameplay. I want to watch Indiana Jones do Indiana Jones stuff, but I just don't want all the movie trailer where all the good parts are in the trailer. I'm hoping that there's much more to this game,
right
beyond that. So yeah,
I will say I have been unconvinced on this game for a while, particularly when it was first revealed to be a first-person kind of game. And I think I said back then, I was like, well, I won't mind the first person so much if the cinematics are really heavy, right? Like a lot of it was cinematic. And I will say the trailer that they showed or whatever they showed at Xbox Game Pass, I think you're right. I think it was 6 to 8 minutes long, and it was just a cinematic. It was a whole scene from a movie, and there was no gameplay in there, which, I guess you're playing a game. I don't know. I don't see, I'm okay with putting the controller down and watching for 8 minutes. I'm okay with that kind of experience.
Oh yeah. No, that's totally fine.
But that scene was good. It was a good scene. It was movie quality level scene. And seeing that in a game of another Indiana Jones, kind of setting or character or story, I was really intrigued. I think I'm sold on this. And the thing that finally did, maybe we already knew this, but at the end of that trailer, it shows available day one on Game Pass. And I was like, that sells it. Of course I'm going to try that game. Of course I'm going to play that game.
I'm wondering, just a little bit based on the whole Game Pass thing, if there will be some changes to the engagement model of the game, right? Will it start with a 15-minute long cutscene? Just to kind of get you hooked, or will it start with gameplay immediately to try to get you hooked? I'm interested to see what the strategy is in the era of Game Pass for these kinds of single player story games of what do you try to do to hook people and encourage them to keep playing the game when the barrier to entry and exit is so low.
Yeah, we heard a lot about that with was it Gears of War 5 where they said they had to pay very close attention to that as they're designing the game, that it would be an Xbox Game Pass game. And that altered some of their game design decisions because they had to factor that in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that I can't even begin to imagine how that works for a solely single player game.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll just have to see. This is coming out this year, I believe, and it's coming to Game Pass, so that's going to be great.
You have never played a Fable game.
I have not. That's true.
Yeah, the Fable, the next one, I don't know what they're calling it. I think the last one was Fable 4.
I think it might just be called Fable.
Yeah, I think it's just called Fable. I think like it's Fable 5. I don't know. Who knows? It's
like Fable Reboot.
Yeah. It got another trailer this time. Fable's really good at telling stories. I mean, that's what I kind of remember. I mean, the game is called Fable. I would hope that they're pretty good at telling stories.
Yeah.
But this trailer was testament to that. I mean, it was another really good kind of like, what do you call those when someone tells a story and you see the story within the story?
Frame story.
Yeah, it was a really good frame story in a trailer. So that was really cool. And we got maybe a release date of 2025. I mean, we got a release time period of 2025, which I don't know that we've previously known. And I don't know if this one said day one on Game Pass, but I'm pretty sure it's day one on Game Pass.
It is.
Yeah, which just, I mean, I don't know what more to say about this. Like another single player game, like super AAA single player game, day one on Game Pass that I don't think anyone would have any reason not to try.
Yeah, I think for this one, it's really, and with so many of these, it's going to be coming down to timing, right? It's going to be what's coming out at the same time in the same month, what's going on in my life. Like, what do I feel like I have time to sit down and start a 25-hour story game or whatever this is going to be? Like, I think at this point, the barrier to entry for me is like, do I want to commit to this level of game, right? Am I in a place where I can just sit down and get started? Like, because it feels kind of heavy. Like it feels like oh man, I don't want to sit down and play God of War right now because I can't play it for 6 hours at a time. Like, that kind of a thing. And I think that's just a mind shift that I have to get over. But like, that's the biggest worry I have for games like this.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's the same thing with Final Fantasy 16, right?
Yeah.
You have to, or even 7, Final Fantasy 7. You have to, we as working adults,
that's right,
need to be like, I'm okay with playing for a half hour to an hour. Like it's really hard with these grand story games. But at the same time, Chris, you and I are really good readers.
That's true.
So it's very similar in that vein that I think we have to become more okay with picking up and reading a chapter, a 30-minute chapter. That it's been very difficult for me. So I get that.
The next one we have on the list is one that I knew about the franchise, I think, but I didn't know about the actual, like the game itself. But they showed the trailer and I was like, this is cool. What is this? This looks neat. Like, I kind of want to play this. And then it turned out to be Perfect Dark, which I believe, like I said, is kind of a reboot of a franchise from a while ago. And it looks like a really cool, like spy futuristic kind of single player story game. I don't know. It looks good.
What pulled you in about this? Because I have a comment to make, but I want to hear what drew you in first.
I think it was the shiny sci-fi and the not immediate shooting at things.
Oh, okay.
That probably drew me in the most. And also not crazy stealth. Like it didn't have the same vibe as like Cyberpunk, right? Cyberpunk is the same, shiny sci-fi, but like they brag about it being such a big story and like it's like a big RPG. And this one felt a little bit more on rails, but also not like immediate guns blazing, which I prefer.
Okay. I can see that. Like thinking back to the trailer, I will say, as I was watching and listening to this trailer, I got immediate Division vibes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know that the gameplay actually played out like that. I got maybe that from a sense of a, spy agency kind of, secret division of people. But you're right. It didn't really have, it wasn't necessarily a shooter.
Right. It almost felt like a sci-fi Uncharted almost, which I think is great.
Oh yeah, I would like that. That would be cool.
So I don't know if that's what this is. I have no idea. I don't know if I'm on the right track there, but I was intrigued and I will be watching this a little bit more closely. And it's coming to Game Pass, so that'll make it easy.
Wait a second. I have to, is this next game the only original IP on this list?
On our list, there might be one other one. I think there might be one more, but this is the only original story, big story game that's not like a sequel.
That's a comment on the industry, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. This one, they started the trailer and sometimes there's those weird high fantasy story games that are kind of a little too out there, and you're just kind of okay, I see what you're going for, but it's high concept and I don't like it. This one, it was a really good trailer, right? It really pulled you in and it was very human, but it wasn't like that other one, like Hellblade, when they did that one where it was the woman in the water with the hands and all that, and I didn't really like that. It was too scary, right? Too horror like. This one probably could have been set in the same universe, but it's a different game. The game is called Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I think it shortens to Expedition 33. And it's got a really interesting, they tell you the concept, the premise in the trailer. They say every year whoever she is, writes a number on this obelisk or whatever, and all the people that are at that age die. And every year the people send an expedition to try to stop this and they fail. So now you play as a band of explorers or adventurers or whatever who are trying to do this expedition to stop this thing that kills all the people in this universe. So it's a really interesting framing of a classic kind of video game thing of just we gotta go kill the big bad guy, whatever. But it just looks, it looks really good. It pulls you in. I'm oddly excited for it.
Yeah, I was watching this and it was a very grand story that seemed to filter down into the individual people or person in a very, I don't want to call it relatable, but a very understandable, grounded way where you're okay, I get the grand story that's going on here. I get the lore. at least as much as you can understand from a trailer, right? Thank you for explaining to me. And then it brings it down and it says, you're on this expedition. We just explained to you the whole thing. Now this is you, or this is your group or whatever. And it was just a really good kind of setting up of the story, for something that we had never seen before. And, I don't know how it's going to go, and how it's all going to play out. But I think, as we kind of mentioned, you have to applaud them for original story here. And setting up an original story in a way that doesn't feel like it's unapproachable.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you don't have to feel like you have to read a book or learn a bunch of stuff about a universe or whatever. You get it, right? You understand it's instantly approachable. And it's also a turn-based RPG with real-time mechanics, which is kind of a nice little hybrid. I remember with the gameplay when we were watching it, it was oh, that's different.
Yeah, they were turn-based with QuickTime events, right? You do your attack,
it was
and
the
you
QuickTime
do a
events,
based attack, and then, hey, hit A at the right time, and you do some bonus whatever. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, I really like just everything about this. I think it's going to be really cool.
We don't have a date. Do we have a date on this?
I don't think so. Not yet.
Did we get any? I don't even think we got gameplay on this. We just got a cinematic story trailer, right?
No, there was a little bit because they showed those QuickTime events.
Oh, that's right. Reactive turn-based combat is what they call it.
Oh, okay.
Craft unique builds for your expeditioners to fit your playstyle via gear, stats, blah, blah, blah. Dodge, parry, and counter in real time. Chain combos by mastering attack rhythms and target enemy weak points using a free aim system. So there's a lot of there's a lot of like real-time combat elements, but it is turn-based. So you can take a break, you can understand what you need to do, you can strategize, but like when you go to attack, it turns into, I don't know, a series of actual you need to do something combat. I don't know if we mentioned it, but the game, or at least what we saw of it, was beautiful.
Oh yeah, it looks great.
Just,
Looks really good.
It was stunning.
Yeah, it very much, the art style is great, like very realistic. It's set in Paris, I think, like future Paris or something. So it looks really good. Another game that looks really good from a graphical standpoint, but also I don't think I'm probably going to play much of, if at all, was Gears of War E-Day, which I guess is like a prequel to the Gears of War series, which I think they've done 4 of the mainline series. I really enjoyed Gears of War 4 because it was a co-op story game shooter thing that you could play with people online. This one, I don't know if it's going to be the same or not, but the trailer for this looked too like gritty. I know that they're trying to be like, oh, it's a return to form, fans will love this, but it's like, I was a late fan and I don't care about the grittiness. Like, I like kind of the realistic but pseudo cartoony kind of a shooter game with a story, but they are going back to their roots or something, and it's going to make it a game that I don't think I want to play.
Yeah, same. You know, I grew up on Xbox and Xbox consoles. That's what I had as a kid. And I never played Gears of War. I don't have any attachment to this this at all, and I feel kind of bad about that because I feel like this is like a great story that has been developing over years and years. That like a prequel would be really cool for, and something to be really excited about. And I'm kind of sad that I don't get to be a part of it. So, you played Gears of War 5, the co-op one that came out in 2019?
Whatever the most recent one was that was on Game Pass, I played.
Yeah, and you hadn't played any previous to that, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I hope this game does really well. I will. You're right. It's too scary for me, at least from the trailer. Maybe it won't actually be that way, but I don't think this is a game for me either.
The next game that I put on our list was one that was just kind of like glossed over, but looks really good. And I think it came through the Xbox showcase. Maybe I have it misclassified, but the game is called Ara History Untold, ARA. It is a Civilization-like. We were just talking about Civ 7, but this one is like a Civ-like game. It's a take on Civ, but it's not from the Civ people, and it's kind of the same kind of game, right? It's turn-based. It's like bunch of people play as world leaders. You try to capture territory and build stuff and all that stuff. But it has a couple of interesting twists that are different than the Civilization series, because they're doing some cool stuff with like the way that they do the turn-based stuff. They have it be like asynchronous. So it's hosted on a server instead of being hosted by one of the players. And you can kind of like log in at any time and take a turn or two, I think is what I read. And then you can kind of disconnect again. So you can kind of just like hop on, hop off kind of a thing. And everybody's turns get resolved like in some order. And I don't exactly know the details here, but it just looks like a really different take on the like big Civ 4X kind of a game genre.
I assume they intend games to take place over weeks or months.
That's what it kind of looks like. I mean, that's kind of the problem with a Civ game, right? Is that you've got to get like all your friends together for like an entire weekend and play for 30 hours straight. But that's not practical, in real world with people with lives. So you just never play. So I think this kind of helps to work through some of that, and I'm here for it.
That's very similar to like some old school games that used to take place over what was it? Axis and Allies that used to be able to play that game via email. Like
you can play Civ
of whatever
via email. Yeah.
Can you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what this reminds me of, which is cool. I don't know that I would ever do it, but it's cool that they are trying this again.
Yeah, they said the way it works is you submit your actions and everyone else in the world submits their actions at the same time, and then the engine resolves all of those together. So it's not a situation where if you go first, you get the claim. Like or the person who goes second doesn't necessarily get the claim, but everybody kind of goes at the same time and they do something to give you a fair chance, which I think is really an interesting take on the whole thing. It also has a feature where you can give up and you can let an AI take your seat and keep playing. So if you want to leave, your friends don't have to stop the game, which I think is great.
Oh my gosh, what a feature.
Yeah. But this game is coming out this September and it's coming to Game Pass. So I would really like to give it a try.
I mean, it's on Game Pass. I can't say no. You know what game needs to get added to Game Pass, Chris?
I can think of a couple, but yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
I want a World of Warcraft subscription included with my Game Pass. Have we said that enough on this show?
Yeah, I'm sure that all of the Blizzard Microsoft people that are listening to the show will take our advice and put those together.
It'll never happen, but that's okay. We did get a World of Warcraft The War Within expansion release date revealed during the Xbox Game Showcase. I was abruptly reminded that they own Blizzard now. It was kind of weird to see their logo up on the screen. I guess I'm just not used to it yet. Activision a little less weird, because I feel like Activision has bounced around a lot between like the Bungie launcher and the Blizzard launcher, and it's just been all over the place. So I guess I don't feel any particular like loyalty or like solidification of where Activision lives. But Blizzard was just kind of weird to see up there.
Yeah, I agree that I was like watching it. I was like, oh, Blizzard is presenting a thing. And I was like, wait a minute, Blizzard is part of this. Like, it's not that like Blizzard is guesting in here. It's like, this is where Blizzard will announce stuff now. And they also did like a Diablo 4 trailer, which was a really good trailer for a game that I probably won't play. Interestingly, though, Diablo 4 is coming to Game Pass, but the expansion that they just did the trailer for is not coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. I mean, Forza does stuff similar to that, right? Where the base game is there, but the expansions are not.
Exactly. Yeah. No, they do the same thing.
Did I say the release date? War Within August 26th. So set your calendar, Chris. I guess take some time off of work. What we also got from it, and wasn't actually announced in Xbox Game Showcase, but you got essentially the whole calendar. Right now, you have the whole expansion release calendar because everything kind of revolves around that release date. You've got season 1 starting September 10th. You've got, the release date on August 26th. We don't exactly know the pre-patch, but pre-patch roughly first week of August. The beta is already open. So all of it kind of solidifies now that we have that date.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that's exciting. They're doing a thing right now. So I canceled my sub for a while because I wasn't playing it because I was traveling and whatever. And it's kind of a dead season anyway. But they're doing a thing right now where for $25, you can get 60 days of game time and a level 60 boost. So it's like cheaper than a month to month, and it gets you through almost to like 5 days before War Within. Which
might be worth it.
That's what I'm kind of thinking. I'm like, that'll get you through the pre-patch. Like, it gets you right there. It's $5 cheaper than doing those 2 months together. Like, it gets you that level boost so you can kind of try another character and get him up to almost max level. Like, it's tempting, and it's only good through this weekend, I think. So act now if you are interested. Yeah, I'm excited for that. I also thought it was really smart of them to put the game out on a Monday, right? It's a worldwide simultaneous launch like they always do. But if you have the Epic edition of the pre-order, you get 3 days early access, and that means it'll start on like the Thursday or the Friday instead of on the Monday. So like they're giving you the weekend finally, instead of somebody being like, oh, our game launches on Friday, but you can have 2 days early access. It's like, no, I don't want to start playing on Wednesday. Like, put your game out on Monday, early access on Friday, give me the weekend to try it. Sounds great. Also, it's the week before the Labor Day holiday in the United States, so there'll be a long weekend, the first full weekend that the game is out. In that first kind of full week before the season starts the next week, the calendar looks great for this thing.
Assuming the servers don't explode.
Well, maybe the early access will solve that, right? You get 3 days early access for all the people who paid extra to break off servers.
Yeah, they had that for Dragonflight too, and I don't know that it solved anything. But you're right. I mean, hopefully the queues aren't terrible, but I don't know. This I think I remember that with you and I kind of complaining about that with Dragonflight. Even though we didn't play right at the beginning, we kind of noted it. I mean, you have the Epic Edition, right? You bought the Epic Edition?
I actually haven't bought anything yet, but I'm intending to buy the Epic Edition. I didn't want to have it make the 30 days apply to my account immediately. I wasn't sure how that was going to work, so I just held off on buying it until I'm ready for the 30 days.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that will work for you. For me, I bought the physical version, the collector's edition. So I actually haven't gotten anything for it yet.
I know they said, I mean, we didn't know it at the time when you were looking at the physical edition, but they said that if you had bought the digital Epic Edition, that they would refund you the difference, basically, like refund your Epic Edition, but you get to keep it kind of thing.
I'm in no rush as long as I get it before the early access.
Yeah, I mean, I will be pre-ordering it. Like I said, I was just waiting for the right moment to strike with the subscription timing. So now I think I might buy this thing with 2 months and then do the pre-order, and then I'll be good until, I don't know, September.
Getting back into World of Warcraft. Expansion. Now I understand why they do an expansion every 18 months.
Yeah, it's a big like push for the, people getting interested. It's a hype cycle.
Hype cycle. That's right. Last but not least, during the Xbox Game Showcase, it kind of transitioned to a different showcase at this point. But they actually started the whole thing with Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and then they ended it with more Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and then did a post-show exclusively on Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Why are we talking about Black Ops 6? Because Chris and I don't really play Call of Duty, but there are some interesting caveats to that. First of all, this is the first Call of Duty, at least the first one I know about. I'm pretty sure it's the first one where it will be day one on Game Pass. And if I'm going to play, Chris and I and our friend group, we buy Call of Duty, particularly when it goes on super sale. Like the first time it goes on sale, it's usually 30% off the first time it goes on sale. We buy it, we play it for like 5 days, and then we never touch it again.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Which is a perfect use case for Game Pass. So we're talking about it probably because even though we're not going to play it that much, I think I'm going to spare the 300 gigabytes on my computer for a little bit to install this game because it's included with Game Pass.
I think Game Pass needs to give you like a coupon for a hard drive, like a solid state drive.
No kidding.
Like, here, get this 1 terabyte drive for $10 off if you have Game Pass.
The other reason is Black Ops have the best zombie modes.
Black Ops have the only zombie modes, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, then, by definition, they're also the best.
Yes, and some are better than others. But they did say that this one is a return to round-based zombies as opposed to the most recent one, which was not round-based and was less good. It was more like open exploration-y, whatever, but it didn't have the rounds.
Okay.
I am so here for this. Like, I know I don't usually like scary games. I don't usually like zombie games, but these are like cartoony zombies, kind of. I mean, they're bloody, but they're not like scary. You know what I mean? I am very excited for this. I'm excited for it to be on Game Pass because that means I can sucker some friends into playing with me. Big fan PvE zombies. Let's go.
I'm excited I don't have to pay for it.
Well, yeah.
It comes out October 25th, 2024. We will be done playing it by probably November 15th, 2024. But that's okay. That's all right. It's all good now. Now, like I said, all we need now is a World of Warcraft included with our Game Pass, and then life will literally be as good as it gets. That's the top.
Yeah, then we will have arrived. But it won't be on Game Pass, Jason. The one thing that I think we really wanted to talk about the next showcase, that being Ubisoft Forward, Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to have to pay for that game.
Yeah, I mean, come on. How dare they?
It's going to be expensive, too. Is it $80?
$80?
Or no, this is the one that has the ultimate super duper edition for $130, isn't it?
Wait, well, I'm going to the pre-order store right now. I got to look.
I think it's more expensive than you think.
I don't like anything about this. Yes, it is $129.99 for the ultimate edition of this game.
Yep.
Wow.
Or it's included with your Ubisoft Plus for $17.99 a month.
The fact that I could subscribe to Ubisoft Plus for like 6 months to get this game and a bunch of other stuff is a problem. Like, that is too expensive.
Yeah. $70 or $110 to get the season pass, which I have no idea what that is, and 3 days early access.
Yeah, okay. And then $130 to get the full-on thing, the Ultimate Edition with all of the little, like, cosmetics.
Which I think is just some cosmetics, yeah. I don't know that I'm going to buy this day one. And here's why. I'm very excited for it. I'm extremely excited for this game. We didn't mention it, but this game was also shown off during the Xbox Game Showcase. It was shown off during the Summer Games Fest, and obviously Ubisoft Forward had like a half hour to an hour dedicated to just this game. The marketing dollars are going wild for this game, and everything they've shown, every minute that they have shown, I'm like, yeah, this is what I wanted in a Star Wars game. I'm excited for it, but you and I both know this game is going to go on at least 40% off in the first 6 months.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure in the first 6 months after Christmas. Yeah, I'm sure. Like, I think come January, February timeframe, it'll probably go on some kind of sale.
And I just don't know that I have time for this game on August 30th, 4 days after The War Within comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Like a month before Call of Duty comes out, 2 months after the first Descendant comes out. I still haven't finished God of War. What was the other? Oh, we didn't talk about it because it didn't get showcased at all, but the Guild Wars 2 expansion comes out. Like,
oh yeah.
Do I need another game in August?
No.
I just don't think the answer is yes. I don't think I'm going to have time for it. I'm super, super excited for this game. I'm super excited for Star Wars Outlaws, but I just don't think I can pay full price for an Ubisoft game in the month of August.
I actually think that I am on the like up to a year waiting train. Like, I think just based on the other games and other stuff coming out and other things happening in my life, like, I think I am easily looking at this for like, holiday 25 potential, unfortunately, because it looks like it's going to be great. But I'm also not too worried, like not seriously worried about getting spoiled on it. I don't know why, but like maybe it's just the media that I consume. Like, I'm not really worried about not playing it day one. You know what I mean? Yeah,
you typically don't get the Assassin's Creed games spoiled. I didn't get the Avatar Mists of Pandaria.
Frontiers of Pandora.
Thank you. I haven't gotten that spoiled for me. I just the stories are so big and so long and so like sprawling that I just don't think this is a game that gets spoiled. At least not in full, right? So I'm similarly not worried.
Yeah, so I think unfortunately this one gets bumped to the bottom of the list, although it probably has the biggest hype, but it's just not the right time.
Not the right time.
If they released this game in February of this past year, which I think was like their original plan, it would have been perfect timing.
Oh, yeah, because we've had such a lull. Yeah, they're just releasing during a very... Now, they're not going up against any competitors. It's not like another major... Well, I think Assassin's Creed releases around the same time. Assassin's Creed Shadows?
November 15th.
November. So they're trying not to compete with themselves, but they're competing with... they're competing with the MMO market, honestly, is what's happening. And unfortunately, I'm a MMO and, single player, third person story game player. That's who I am. So I don't know if there's not many of us, but I don't have time for this game in August.
Yeah. Well, it'll still be there when we're ready. Just like God of War.
Did we miss anything?
I think we got all of the stuff I wanted to talk about.
I probably forgot something.
Yeah, I had a bunch of stuff. So I've been keeping, as I was watching all of these showcases, I was keeping the things that piqued my interest on my Steam wish list. Like, I just added I don't know, probably 25 things to my Steam wish list. We didn't talk about them all here because I don't have an informed opinion on most of them. But anytime I saw something, I was like, oh, that looks kind of neat. I just like popped it on my Steam wish list. I'm not going to buy most of these things on Steam, but like it was a convenient way to store all of that stuff, except for Star Wars Outlaws, because that's not coming to Steam right away. I think it's going to Epic and Ubisoft maybe or something. I don't know. But I have been keeping a list on my Steam wish list, and I hope everyone else is keeping a similar list.
Yeah, I should probably do that. That sounds like a cool idea. I didn't do that. I tend to be a little bit more strict about what goes on my wish list, though.
Yeah, I mean, these were all coming soon, right? None of them have release dates. So now I'll get an email from Steam when they come out and be like, oh, cool. Now I can delete it off my Steam wish list and go play it on Game Pass. Like, you know, it's just a alerting system at this point. It's not to like find it on sale.
That's funny. That's good. We have the Nintendo Direct coming up, which I'm sure we'll have things to talk about there. And that is kind of the wrap up of this season. We will talk about Nintendo Direct on the next episode. And anything else maybe that we missed or follow up of any of this, and anything else that happens between now and then. But thanks for joining us for the not E3 coverage of the season.
I think it's kind of time we can probably just call it Summer Games Fest. Like
Summer Games Fest, just as a general umbrella term.
Yeah, like it's no longer maybe not E3. It's like now it's Summer Games Fest. Like it just, we've passed the torch officially now. Nobody's cool. Worried that E3 is going to suddenly come back.
You never know.
I think watch them come back next year, but whatever. Great.
Summer Games Fest 2024. Covered. Checked off. This is a gaming podcast, if you didn't know. If we missed anything, please let us know. You can get in contact with us and join our Discord by going to discord.pnapodcast.com.
If you want to find our show notes, we'll have some links to some of the things that we spoke about today. If you want to find any of our older episodes, you can visit our website at pnapodcast.com. That's P, the letter N, the letter A, podcast.com.
If you're enjoying the show, we would love if you could share it with some others that might enjoy it as well.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you next time. Jason, I took a trip this weekend, but it wasn't a real physical trip. I took a trip to the island of Quern in the game called Quern.
Oh, it's an island.
Undying Thoughts. Yes, it seems to be an island.
I didn't know that the game was named after the island.
Yes, the game is named after the setting of the place.
Oh, okay. Cool. I did see you playing this. I saw on Discord that you were playing Quern, and I was like, oh, puzzle games, cool. He's taking a break from Dota.
Yes, that's true. I've been playing a lot of Dota because of their summer event thing, which has been very fun. But they, as part of all of the Summer Games Fest stuff, they announced a release date for Riven, the sequel to Myst, the remake, which is coming out June 25th, I believe, on Steam. And so they have a demo of that's out, so you can actually play like the first, I don't know, half hour of the game.
Oh, okay.
When it gets to like a logical breaking point, they cut you off and say like, thanks for playing the demo, which is really a clever way to do a demo for a game like this, because, you know, it's one of those like, you know, mystery games or like, you know, adventure kind of figure it out games. And like, so you could like go forever, but like at some point they gotta cut you off. So I was really enjoying myself in there, and I was really fun. And then I got to the end of the demo. I was like, I could go back and play the original game, right? Because it's obviously based on the original. So I fired up the original game just to try it and to see like, can I get to the point where the demo cut off and like see what just like the next one little scene is. And they moved a bunch of stuff between the original game and the demo of the new one in the 3D world. And I like the 3D one better. So I actually was like, okay. I'll just wait for the 3D one to come out. So I've got a week-long wait for that. And then in the meantime, I was like, ooh, what else do I have that maybe I haven't played that's in this genre? And I already had Quern in my library from a long time ago. And so I pulled it out and played through the entire thing over 2 days over the weekend.
And Quern is not related, or is it?
No, but it is heavily, you can tell it's like a spiritual successor, love letter, whatever you want to, you know, choose your term. But it is definitely a Myst-like, I guess I'll say.
Okay, so it's completely, it's not in the same world or universe or anything, not the same developer, but it is essentially a Myst game. Because I've always seen it and it has always looked very similar, but I guess I never really put it all together to know whether it was the same or not. I've seen Quern. It goes on sale a lot, and it looks like a really good puzzle game.
It is a really good puzzle game because I think it has very good puzzle design in that it has a few repeatable concepts that they teach you pretty early on, and then you can actually reuse for a bunch of stuff, which is a clever way to do a puzzle game like that. Oftentimes you'll have like one-off puzzles like, oh, I come to this thing and I got to do, figure out what the algorithm is or whatever. And then I move on and never see that thing again. But in Quern, they early on, they teach you some things about the mechanics of the world and like some rules of the world and things like that. And it gives you a little bit of a toolbox to be like, can I apply this skill here? Can I apply this skill there? Like, and it gives you a starting point so that you're not just staring at a bunch of puzzles that are like, well, I know I'm supposed to do something here, but I couldn't possibly figure out what it is. So I really did enjoy it, and I found it to be a much more approachable entry to the genre than maybe something like Myst, where it's a little bit off the wall. And it's harder to connect those dots. The dots are relatively close together for a lot of pieces of Quern. Now there are certainly pieces that are really hard, but I think in general they did a pretty good job. I mean, a very good job of putting together kind of a good puzzly game.
You said you played it over the weekend. How long did the game take?
I think my time played on Steam is like 10 hours or so. And I will admit I did look up a guide once or twice in very limited fashion, just to like get over the hump of something of like, okay, well, I know what I'm supposed to do here, but I'm just not getting it or can't figure it out perfectly or whatever the rule is. I guess I will strategically ask for help, essentially. And I think that's totally fair because that was the thing that kept me going with this game, more so than just throwing up my hands and being like, well, I banged my head against this puzzle for 20 minutes. I'm just going to stop,
Well, hey, I mean, listen, it's a puzzle game. It's a game. You're meant to be having fun. Like, I guess I used to, if you would have asked me 5 years ago, I would have shamed you for looking up a guide. But like after 20 minutes of like just banging your head against the wall and you're just like, I like this game. I want to continue having fun with this game. This puzzle is clearly not clicking with me. You look up the minimum amount of information to get a clue. And then you try again. And I think that's perfectly acceptable to continue the fun.
Right. I mean, it was the difference between I'm going to put this game down and never play it again, or I'm going to continue and finish this game. So,
right.
By the end, I had it figured out and I didn't need help. Right. I was figuring out the last several puzzles on my own, which felt really good. But there was one point where I was just like, I just don't know. And it was like, oh yeah, you have to click this one thing and put this one object in this one thing. It was like, oh, okay, well, I don't know if I ever would have figured that out. But there was also another case where I was really stuck kind of early on. And I was like, I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I can't do this puzzle. I know what I'm supposed to do, but I can't like mechanically get it to happen. And then I like stepped away from it in the game for like a few seconds and I came back to it and I got it like first try. So I will also say that there's, stepping away for a minute and coming back to a puzzle is a valid strategy. I took notes, like I had my iPad and I had the notes app and I was handwriting notes of like things that I needed to pay attention to while I was playing the game, which was kind of fun because now I have this like digital representation of my time playing this game.
I think this game is on my wish list. So I do see every time it goes on sale. I have continually decided not to buy it every time just like because it would violate the 2-hour rule. Mm-hmm. But this game's definitely on my wish list and I will get to it someday.
Yeah, I mean, I would say for under $10, it is absolutely worth it. Like, even for the retail price of $15 or whatever, it's definitely worth it.
Well, it's $25, so.
Oh, well, fine. That's maybe a little pricey, but like, under 20 then I'll say is good. Under 10 is like a steal, and I would absolutely buy it even if it didn't catch the 2-hour rule.
Okay, cool.
It is a really good puzzle game. For that kind of thing. And I will mention, just because we're talking about it, the developers of Quern are actually doing another game right now, and they have it up on Kickstarter, and there's a demo you can download. And it's another in the same genre, another puzzle game. And this one, I believe, has an integrated smart-ish hint system, or at least it's supposed to be smart hint system, to dynamically give you hints in the game without you having to go look them up. So
that's kind of cool.
I think that's very clever based on like what you have done. So it'll kind of like suggest like, hey, have you looked at that key or whatever, so it kind of gives you a hint in the direction of like, this is the next thing you should probably use or whatever. So needless to say, back to that Kickstarter because, I'm a sucker. And because I want them to make more games like this. Like ultimately, I just want these things to exist.
Is it going to reach its goal?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Then I may actually go back at 2.
It's not one of those ones where it's like, oh, we're 9,000% funded. It's like, no, this one's like, it's like a week old and it was like, I don't know, a third of the way there. So,
is it Dimhaven? Is that the name of it?
Yeah, Dimhaven. Yeah.
25% funded. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm nervous about it. Like, I mean, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll probably make it either way, but like, I don't know. They've got 31 days to go. So
I'm logging in to get a reminder. If it hasn't met its goal within like a week left, I will pledge. Because you're right. I want them to continue making games like this, but I will say it again and again. I'm not an early access kind of guy. So
sure,
if it meets its goal, I'll buy it when it comes out. If it needs help getting to the finish line, I will help it. That's the pledge I'm making here on P&A.
Wow, the P&A angel investor fund here backing a Kickstarter with the two of us. We're really making a difference.
Making a difference.